You canceled the plans again. And the moment you did, something shifted inside you. Not guilt, not exactly. Something quieter. Something that felt almost like relief, like you could finally breathe again. And then came the other feeling, the one that whispered, "What is wrong with you?" Nothing, absolutely nothing is wrong with you. But there is something deeply fascinating going on inside your mind. And by the end of this, you're going to understand yourself in a way you never quite have before. Picture this. It's Friday afternoon. Someone texts you about a get-together tonight. Nothing big, just a few people. Food, maybe some drinks, casual conversation. On paper, it sounds fine. But something happens in your chest, a kind of low, quiet dread. You spend the next 2 hours going back and forth. Should I go? I said I'd try to be more social, but I'm so tired. But I don't want to seem like I'm avoiding people, but I really, really don't want to go. You cancel. You make up a reason that's half true, and then you close your door, change into comfortable clothes, make something warm to drink, and sit in the silence of your own space. And it feels like medicine. The tension in your shoulders drops. Your thoughts slow down. You feel like yourself again. Here's what I want you to sit with for just a moment. That feeling, that deep, almost physical relief, isn't laziness. It isn't fear. It isn't a character flaw dressed up as a preference. It's information. And it's been trying to tell you something for a very long time. Psychologists have studied introversion for decades, but what most people still don't understand is that introversion isn't about disliking people. It's about energy, where it comes from and what drains it. For some people, social interaction fills them up. They walk away from a party feeling energized, buzzing, alive. For others, maybe for you, social interaction, even enjoyable interaction, costs something. It's like spending from a limited account, and home is where you go to deposit. But it goes deeper than introversion, because not everyone who loves staying home is an introvert in the clinical sense. Some of them are highly sensitive people. Some are recovering from years of emotional noise. Some have nervous systems that process the world more intensely than average. Every conversation, every facial expression, every unspoken tension in a room, they feel it all. When the world is that loud inside your head, silence isn't isolation, it's survival. There's a concept in psychology called sensory processing sensitivity. It describes people whose brains are literally wired to process information more deeply than others. They notice more, they feel more, they think more. And it's exhausting in the most beautiful, complicated way. These are the people who can walk into a room and immediately sense who's uncomfortable, who notice the shift in someone's voice before anyone else does, who replay conversations hours later, not because they're insecure, but because their brain is still processing, still filing, still trying to make sense of everything it absorbed. For these people, home isn't just a place, it's the only place where the volume gets turned down. Think about that. Now here's where it gets really interesting. And I want you to stay with me here because this next part might change how you see yourself entirely. Most of the people who love being home aren't running away from the world. They're running toward something, toward depth, toward stillness, toward the version of themselves that only exists in the quiet. See, when you're alone in your space, really alone, really comfortable, you think differently, you feel differently, you create differently. Your imagination opens up. Your inner voice gets louder and clearer. Ideas come, insights come, understanding comes. Psychologists call this restorative solitude, the idea that certain people don't just tolerate being alone, they genuinely need it to function at their highest level, to reconnect with who they are underneath all the performance and social navigation of daily life. Because let's be honest, every social situation, even a good one, requires a kind of performance. You're managing how you come across. You're reading other people. You're responding in real time to an environment you can't fully control. And for someone whose inner world is rich and complex, that is genuinely, deeply tiring. Home removes all of that. And what's left is just you, the real you. the one who doesn't have to explain or justify or perform. Is it any wonder you want to protect that feeling? But here's the part no one talks about. The love of home can become a hiding place, and this is important to understand, not to shame yourself, but to know the difference. There's a difference between choosing solitude because it nourishes you and avoiding the world because it has hurt you before. There's a difference between being at peace alone and being afraid of what happens when you're not. Sometimes the relief of staying home isn't just about recharging. Sometimes it's about safety, about not risking rejection, not risking judgment, not being seen in a way that might confirm your deepest fear, that you are somehow too much or not enough for other people. That version of home love is a little more complicated because it can keep you small in ways you haven't fully noticed yet. And if any of this is landing somewhere tender right now, that's okay. That tenderness is worth paying attention to. There's a researcher named Esther Buchholz who spent her career arguing something that almost no one in psychology was willing to say out loud, that solitude isn't just tolerable, it's essential. She believed that the human need for alone time is just as real and just as legitimate as the need for connection, not instead of connection, alongside it. This is where so many people who love staying home have been misunderstood, even by themselves. They've been told, usually indirectly, that their preference for quiet is something to overcome, that real living happens out there, in the social world, in the noise and movement and constant interaction of modern life. But what if that's simply not true for everyone? What if some people were built for depth over breadth, for a few meaningful connections over a room full of acquaintances, for internal richness over external stimulation? Not better, not worse, just different, genuinely, beautifully different. Think about the greatest creators in history, the writers, the philosophers, the artists, the scientists who changed the world. An extraordinary number of them shared one thing. They spent enormous amounts of time alone, not because they were broken, because that's where their best thinking lived. Nikola Tesla spent days in isolated contemplation before breakthrough ideas surfaced. Kafka wrote almost exclusively in the late-night silence of his room. Darwin took solitary walks to think. Einstein described his inner imaginative world as the source of everything. This doesn't mean you have to be a genius to justify your love of stillness. It means the love of stillness has always been part of how certain minds work best. Your mind may simply be one of them. So here's the realization I want to leave you with. The quiet one, the one that might take a few minutes to fully settle. The part of you that loves staying home, that exhales when the door closes and the noise fades and the world stops asking things of you. That part isn't broken. It isn't underdeveloped. It isn't something to fix or push through or apologize for. It might be one of the most honest things about you. The question worth asking isn't, why do I love being home? The question is, what does my home give me that the world hasn't learned to give me yet? And can I find a way to carry even a small piece of that stillness, that permission to exist without performance, out into my life with me? Because the goal was never to choose between solitude and connection. The goal is to know yourself well enough to know what you actually need, and to stop feeling guilty for needing it. You are not antisocial. You are not broken. You are not failing at adulthood. You are someone who knows where you come alive. And that is not a small thing. That is everything. If this video made you feel seen, even slightly, share it with someone who needs to hear this too. And if you want more videos that go beneath the surface of why you think, feel, and exist the way you do, subscribe, because there's so much more of this kind of truth waiting for you here.